If you're shopping for a new car, used car, listen up. Nearly 200,000 cars have their odometers rolled back each year. It's a scam that's happening right here in Michiana. News Center 16's Gabby Gonzalez has been looking into a local case and ways consumers can protect themselves. And Gabby, some people think odometer rollback isn't as prevalent anymore because of the digital odometers that most cars have.
It's actually easier to roll back these digital odometers. Police describe it to me as hacking into a computer, for instance. A criminal can roll back that mileage 10,000, even 100,000 miles. So you pay for a car you think will get you where you need to go, only to find out the problems only begin the moment you drive it off the car lot. I talked to one family that is still dealing with the consequences of falling victim to a rollback ripoff.
You get to be the first one to ride in the car.
Shane Horner just found a used car for his family.
Buckle up.
But the path to these wheels hasn't been an easy one.
Not right to be misled and pretty much just robbed of what we had for nothing.
Horner initially went to Scott's Auto Sales in Mishawaka. A 1996 Chevrolet Lumina minivan, much like this one, caught his eye.
The stickers on the van said low mileage, cold AC, all the good stuff to it.
So he traded in his Jeep along with $400 for a van he thought would be perfect for his family of 7. Just days after the purchase, they hit the first bump in the road.
We went to try to make our first car payment, and nobody would answer the phones. We had 3 different phone numbers, nobody answered. Nobody was at the car lot.
That's because this dealership was at the center of a St. Joseph County police investigation. The dealership owner, Adam Scott, charged with rolling back odometers. Horner eventually got a call from Scott himself.
He's like, some things have happened. He goes, and I got to be honest with you, the mileage on that van's not correct.
Court documents show that the minivan Horner bought with an odometer reading 125,956 miles really had more than 225,000 miles on it. Investigators had been keeping an eye on this particular vehicle, even tracking down its original owner to confirm the odometer rollback. An employee at the dealership told police he had been instructed to roll back the mileage on more than 20 cars in just a few months' time. And that wasn't the only problem.
Twice he printed us somebody else's plate, so the plates that we drove around with on the van weren't even legal, didn't even go to our van.
The Indiana Secretary of State has even gotten involved, fining Scott's Auto Sales $25,000, revoking the dealer's license, and discovering that Adam Scott continuously issued fraudulent interim paper plates so customers couldn't get a license plate at the B&V. All factors that left Horner with a minivan he couldn't even drive.
We gave him numerous opportunities to make it right. We can't keep the van, so what are you gonna do?
Horner was forced to borrow the cars of relatives and friends to get to work and drive his kids around town.
She would work second shift, I'm on first shift, and it was just, wow, okay, well, you got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and take me to work. Come home and, we got to get the kids all situated. We'd have someone come over here and sit here with the kids while she was just taking me to work. And we shouldn't have to.
All because of this rollback scam. We found dozens of videos on YouTube showing just how these odometers can be rolled back with so-called correction tools, listed for as little as $70.
They do fall into the wrong hands. If somebody's trying hard enough to get one, chances are they will be successful.
And many have been. A Carfax report indicates there are about 30,000 cars in Indiana and Michigan that have had their odometers rolled back. While Horner and his fiancee were eventually able to save up enough cash for this car,
it's not the best, but it runs good.
They still plan on filing a civil suit against Scott.
He needs to own up to what he's done to everybody.
And Shane Horner ended up selling that minivan off to a scrapyard to try to get some money out of all this. Another victim in this case referenced in court documents, a woman bought a car from that same dealership. A week later, the car started making strange noises, and it turns out that car had been rolled back 130,000 miles. Adam Scott, the dealership owner in this case, pleaded guilty to 2 counts of odometer fraud. His sentencing is scheduled for March 4th.
Yeah, and those poor people, obviously hard workers, taking shifts so they can get their kids, covered while
It's
they
been
go
a
to
tough
work.
road.
Yeah. What can we do to make sure we don't fall for this scam?
Well, there's a lot of resources out there that let you really research a car you're interested in, and some of those resources are free to the public. We're going to be focusing on that tomorrow just before 6. We talk to law enforcement and the folks from Carfax that are going to share some tips on what to do to make sure you're not the next victim.
Okay, sounds good.
All
Thanks
right.
a lot. We continue our special report on rollback ripoffs tonight with a closer look at what people can do to make sure their used car purchase doesn't turn them into a victim. News Center 16's Gabby Gonzalez joins me in the studio. So, Gabby, are there any physical signs in a car that could signal trouble when it comes to odometer fraud?
Well, in some cases, the dashboard is tampered with, but new technology means all a criminal needs is a small device, often referred to as an odometer correction tool, to roll back an odometer. Buying a vehicle with a rolled back odometer can force you to lose up to 80% of the money you paid for a used car. Most people test drive one car after another, hoping to find that perfect ride. But experts say it's important to look at more than just the sticker price when making a decision. I sat down for a Skype interview with Chris Basso from Carfax.
The first warning sign is that if you see a deal that just seems too good to be true, then it probably is. You really want to shop with your head and not with your heart. Make sure you know what you're putting you and your family into before you lay down your hard-earned money.
Turns out there are over 1 million cars nationwide on the road right now with odometers rolled back.
Odometer fraud is something that people just aren't looking out for because they don't think that it can happen anymore. But the reality is it can happen, it happens a lot, and people aren't looking for it, so they're getting ripped off.
The average person who buys a car with a rolled back odometer ends up losing about $4,000.
They're paying a lot more than the car is worth, and they're also incurring costly repairs sooner than expected. When you're shelling out $5,000, $10,000, maybe even $15,000 for a used car, a $4,000 loss is a heck of a lot of money.
Investigators with the St. Joseph County Police Department have dealt with this kind of scam. One case involved the owner of this car dealership rolling odometers back 100,000 miles in some reports. Lieutenant Matt Blank says that's why it's so important to research a car before handing over money.
You know, when somebody rolls the miles back on a vehicle and they have the right tools to do it, they can pretty much roll it back as much as they want, as little or as much. Just with any major purchase, it is in everybody's best interest to do your homework.
Those who decide to mislead shoppers can end up behind bars.
Rolling back an odometer or changing the mileage on any vehicle is illegal, has been for a long time.
In Indiana, disconnecting, resetting, or altering an odometer is considered a felony.
Our detectives will try and do as much follow-up as they can, talk to previous owners if possible, get some background information on the vehicle.
You can check out a car's history by getting a Carfax report for it. This website also offers up the odometer information for free. So in just a few minutes, you can find out if that car you're interested in has had its odometer rolled back.
Do some research online. That can go a long way to helping prevent you from being a victim.
It's also recommended that you have an independent certified mechanic check out a car before making a purchase.
So their trained eye can spot any issues that may not have been reported to anyone.
The model year can also make a car more susceptible to this sort of ripoff. Cars that are 14 to 15 years old are the most targeted. And where you buy plays a big role too.
If you're shopping for a used car, especially online through sites like Craigslist, buying from a private seller, that's where you're going to find a lot of these cars with an odometer rollback and other issues.
The crime of altering an odometer comes with a 6-month to 3-year sentence. While only one case of odometer fraud was charged in St. Joe County last year, a lot of these cases go through civil court instead. Carfax found that just last year, nearly 190,000 cars had their odometers rolled back. And we're going to have all the details of the resources available to you on WNDU.com.